Well, thank you everyone for joining the webinar. This is probably our second or third webinar now. First one kind of covered how to order. Second one was kind of just an introduction to Bridge, and now we're going to dig in just a little bit more to what ServiTech Bridge is, as far as what you're going to see when you first log in. Now that we're getting some sensors deployed, and a few of the setup things. One, obviously the big ones, getting logged in the first time, how to do that. If you forgot your password, we'll cover that. And then we'll look at some of the basic settings that are really necessary to get the most out of Bridge, especially getting started here at the beginning of the season, and kind of some of that required information that we're going to need to be able to deliver some of the insights to you as the season goes along. So just a real quick overview of ServiTech Bridge and the Field Intelligence platform. Right now, the current subscriptions that we've been delivering on right now are the field imagery, the pivot status, the growth modeling is included with every subscription. So moisture management, which includes either capacitance or watermark sensors. Most of the time, customers are choosing the capacitance probe for a variety of reasons. There's a couple more depths that we're measuring when it comes to a little bit more information as far as where the water is. If you go capacitance, we do realize some people have a preference to watermarks. If you've used them in the past and you're comfortable with that technology, those work great too. The other thing I would mention about a capacitance probe, if you're still planning to place an order for soil moisture, is one other thing to consider would be your soil type. Watermark sensors respond a little bit slowly when it comes to sandy soils. Sand can change from wet to dry really quickly, and a capacitance probe is just going to be a better choice for that situation for sure. Rainfall measurement, that's the tipping rain bucket. We're leaving those devices in the field, or I shouldn't say in the field, on the edge of the field all season long. So it's not just something you get during irrigation season. It's something you can use to plan field operations, be it fall, spring, summer, whenever you're trying to decide where to go harvest one day, and you've got some of our rainfall measurement subscriptions deployed out in the field. You can pop open ServiTech Bridge and see what areas got more rain last night after a rainfall event. So it's obviously helpful for irrigation purposes, but can be quite helpful in trying to plan your day as far as what fields to go to. The other, kind of on that bottom right-hand side, the other subscriptions that we're adding, along with the weather station, I did skip over that one, but the weather station is a pre-order item, along with the well status and fan status. We've got several of you who've ordered that already, and those will be arriving in about mid-June. So we'll be getting those out here in about a month or less, hopefully. The flow meter and pressure sensor, they're on there just as a kind of FYI. Those are things we'll be adding. Hopefully as the season goes on, we're doing some testing with that hardware yet, but don't really have a for sure release date on those, and that's why we're not offering those subscriptions quite yet. But we're doing some work in the background to get those out to folks too, because I realize there's a lot of interest in there from those types of sensors. Again, what is ServiTech Bridge? It's a subscription. You're not buying hardware. We're just giving you insights from your field using sensors that are deployed in your field, not a bunch of large-scale models. You can order online relatively quickly and easily, telling us where you want devices installed. It builds your quote for you right there as you do. We'll send a follow-up email after this webinar too. Just want to remind everybody of that. That email is going to have a link to the video to this webinar, a link to our frequently asked questions in our knowledge base, information about how to get logged in if you missed anything while we covered on the webinar, and obviously a link if you're still wanting to place some orders, how to access the ordering site. So things we're going to cover during the webinar: how to log in, how to reset your password, how to get your crop planting date and maturity set for a field, which those are, kind of show you why, but why we need those three pieces of information on each field that are really critical to being able to deliver you some really hopefully helpful and powerful insights. And then we'll review the status page once more. Like I said, once we're getting devices out in the field, those tiles on the status page are going to start coming on, and you'll see that here in a minute as I transfer or shift here to ServiTech Bridge. Let me do that really quickly. Okay, well, we're going to start at the beginning. So here is the ServiTech Bridge login page. And if you're looking for where to go to get logged in, there's your URL at the top. Hopefully that's not getting cut off. It's bridge.servitech.com. So if you go to that website, type that URL in there, that will take you to the login page. So you'll have these three options: log in, create an order, help. If you have some questions, you can log in there, or click on that button, I should say. But what we're going to look at right now is how to log in. So obviously to log in, click on the login button. For those of you who created an account using your Gmail account, if you have a Gmail account and you created your account using that, it's really simple and quick and easy to log in by just clicking on sign in with Google. You don't have to remember any additional passwords or anything like that. That's the way I would recommend doing it if you created your account that way. You created your account when you placed your order. And some of you may say, well, I placed my order 3 months ago. There's no way on earth I'm going to remember what I used for a password. And that's completely understandable with the number of passwords we have to remember these days. So we give you a way to recover your password. So if you're not sure what your sign in is, if you don't remember if you use this, or if you put in an email and password, we can help you. Just go ahead and click on forget password. You'll see a box there to type in your email address and hit submit, and we'll send you a link to help you get your password reset. So that's how you find your password if you don't know where that ended up. Once you do that, you get your password set back up or restored or changed. Go ahead and just type in your email address and your password here. Or I will mention this too for a few people that are on this webinar. I noticed that may not have an account yet. So let's say if you're not the owner of the order, so if you're working with a grower, be it his hired man or an advisor or an agronomist or any of those types of things, where you're working with the grower and the grower wants to share information with you, they can do that through the sharing feature within Bridge. But you'll need to create an account if you've never created one, and this is where you'd create an account too. You go ahead and click on that. And again, this is where you can create an account using your Google credentials. That's, if you have it, I always say that's the easiest way to do it. If not, we just ask you for a little bit of information here to get your account started. Just fill this stuff out, hit create my account. We'll send you an email that just says, okay, verify your account by clicking here, and you click on that and your account's set up. Again, pretty quick and simple. So once that account's set up, if you don't have one, you'll have that once you go through that process, and again, bring you back to the login screen. So if you have an account, you've placed an order, you lost your password, that would be the first thing you do. If you have your password and email, all that stuff I just talked about, you can ignore. You're ready to log in. So here's the login page. Type in your email, your password. I'm going to sign in with Google. I've got a Google account. It went off screen a little bit, but basically another little window popped up and said, hey, do you want to use this email account? And I selected my email account, my Gmail account, and it logged me in. So this is a fairly typical view for the first, if you've never logged into Bridge before, this top field is a pretty typical view, I should say. This bottom field is basically our demo field that I have on this account as well. So we do have some sensors out in the field on this field. So you'll see these tiles are lit up for that reason. There's a couple of crops out in this field, soybeans, corn. We only have one probe in this demo field right now, and that's in the corn. So that's why you see this soil moisture probe down here on the corn. And then there are the kind of the non-specific crop tiles that are down here, like a rain gauge, your pivot. Then these you'll see these other tiles that are off. They say no data. And the reason they say no data is those are devices that have been ordered and just haven't been installed yet. So again, this would be the rain totals coming from a weather station. So that's why this one's off. This is an actual rain bucket, the one we're looking at here, but this would be associated with a rain station or a weather station. So temperature, wind speed and direction, humidity, pressure, UV, all of those tiles will light up as soon as we go and install that weather station here in about a month out in this field. Same goes for these two devices. This is your bin fan monitor here on the right. Once we get that hardware, we'll go ahead and send that to the growers that have ordered that, because it's a very simple installation process where it's literally just slap that device on the side of your fan. It's magnetic, and that just senses vibration, tells you if it's on or off, and then we'll record that here and alert you when the status changes of that device. Same goes for the well. Once that device is deployed here in the next month or 3 weeks or so, that tile will be lit up once that device is installed. So we'll send those out. We'll ship those. It just takes 2 AA batteries. You pop the batteries in once you get out to the well, stick it on the well, and usually within a few minutes, this tile will light up and it'll have that first data packet and say, yep, I'm here and I'm on, and I see that this well is not on. So those things will come on as the sensors are deployed. So in this top field, that's the same thing. So this field was ordered fairly recently, and the grower hasn't come in here yet. This would be the first, again, if you've never been in, you've never logged in, this is what you're going to see, missing crop info. So we need some information to get things started. If you had a rain bucket or a rain gauge ordered and we'd install it, it would already be lit up. But like I said, this order literally was placed yesterday, so there's no rain bucket yet, but once we add it, you'll see it. But these other ones, they don't just say no data, they say missing crop info. And I point that out because there is some information that we need to have entered just one time at the beginning of the season. So to add that missing crop info, just go ahead and click on any of those. It will take you to this page. And it says right here, hey, we have some information we need from you. So here's the field that we're talking about. So it kind of confirms, okay, yeah, I know what I'm doing, or what field we're on right now. You scroll down here and you'll see these red boxes. And this box here in the middle, the crop type has already been pre-populated. And the way we pre-populated that is based on what you said the planned crop was when you ordered your subscription. So if that changed, again, some of you I know ordered back in January, February, and you said, oh, this is going to be corn, but now you planted it, and you come in and like, oh yeah, we changed our mind, and this is actually soybeans now. You still have the opportunity to change it. So we pre-populated it, but if it is a different crop, just go ahead and select what you ended up planting out there. And then after that, just go in here and put your planting date. You can click on this little thing, it'll pop up a calendar and you pick the date and your maturity group. So as you can see, I've at some point entered in 2.5 for some soybeans apparently. So that's what we'd be looking for as far as maturity group goes. So for soybeans, it'd be like 2.5 as an example. Corn, how many days, 110 day or 115 day or whatever it is. Just go ahead and enter that into this box. Some people have asked me about having different hybrids out in the field. Right now, what I would suggest is using an average. So if you have a couple of hybrids out there, use the average maturity of what's out there. I'm assuming most of the time, most growers are probably trying to match up the maturities that they're putting in those fields anyway, so that harvest timing would match up too. So there shouldn't be, in most cases, a big swing there. So just go ahead, if you have 110 day and 112 day, just call it 111, and for tracking purposes, that will be but very close and be fine. So once you enter those 3 boxes and hit save crop settings, that's all the information we need from you to start delivering some information. Now, I didn't do that because I don't know that information for this field. We just got it, like I said, the other day. But once you do, I just want to point out, it will take a little time. It won't be instantaneous. There's a lot of a lot of stuff happening in the background that we're going to go and fetch. As far as crop modeling goes, weather information, and then we're also going to be doing some calculations based on root depth, and all of that information is dependent on those three pieces of information: the crop, the planting date, and maturity. So I can't stress it enough. To start getting valuable information out of ServiTech Bridge, you have to enter those three things. And once you enter them and you click save, it won't happen like instantaneously. It will take a little bit of time, usually a few hours. I will say we are working to speed that process up so we can get some of those things triggered quicker in the background. And hopefully in the next week or so, or 10 days, we'll see. But at some point, those things will be a little bit quicker and a little bit more instantaneous. But for now, you'll fill that out, hit save, come back later, and you'll start seeing things lit up. So you'll see what your current ET is. You'll see what your current growth stage is. You'll see how much moisture you have in this field based on your growth stage. Because what this number is on this tile is inches of available water in the root zone. So we're not going to count. We have a probe that's maybe 3 feet deep, but we don't want to count 3 feet towards that crop because we know that crop doesn't have roots 3 feet deep when it's 4-leaf corn. So that's why that planting date, again, that planting date, crop, and maturity are so important, because it also tells us how deep the roots are. So we have a root model that says, okay, we're at 4-leaf corn, we're assuming, and I don't have the model open right in front of me, if it's 12 inches or something, or whatever it is right now, but we have a set depth that we're going to be looking at when we're telling you how much water is available to your crop, because what's available to the crop is only as deep as the roots go. So one thing I was going to point out, all of these tiles are interactive. I mean, if you click on the rain bucket, this is, again, your 24-hour total. But if you want to see more information as far as rain goes over time, if you want to see how much it rained in the last 24 hours, the last 7 days, you want to see over time, over the season, how much year to date you've received, all that stuff is right here in the drill down. On the status page, though, just as a reminder, that's how much in the last 24 hours. Pivot status, same thing. Gives you a little bit more detail about when things have been turned on and off. But I was going to drill into this one here a little bit more before the webinar is over. We got about 10 minutes left. So the soil moisture drill down is where you can see the graph of what's happening out in that field. You have a rain bucket associated with this field as well, which we do on this one. You can see your rain events. These buttons up here on a mobile device, I really like these. These are really handy. You can shrink down and zoom into your chart using this slider, and it works pretty good on a desktop, but I'll be honest, when I'm on my phone, which is most of the time I'm looking at stuff is on my phone, I'm gonna just use these buttons. It's just easier to click 1 week or 2 weeks with my finger than to try to use this little slider. You can drag it back and forth too if you like, but if you want to look at the last 2 weeks, this is a easy way to do it, is using these buttons at the top. One cool thing I was just noticing the other day, I'm just going to zoom into a portion of the chart here. So I'm going to switch to total readily available water for the graph. So like I said, we're doing a lot of calculations in the background and trying to model how much water your plant actually has access to, and not just what's in the whole profile. So right here, if I put my mouse, or if I tap on the screen with my finger, I can see how much water I have available in the root zone. And it looks like, about a ½ inch before this rain. You can see it rained 36 hundredths around May 7th, or maybe the night of May 6th. And then you go to see where the soil moisture probe responded by spiking. So I was down here at around a ½ inch, and then it spiked, and it's just a little bit over about 84 hundredths or so, 81. So you can see I got 36 hundredths, and it's really cool to see it respond with that, basically that same amount. We're measuring it 2 different ways, completely different sensors in 2 different ways, one with a rain bucket and one with a soil probe. But you can see where before it rained, where we were for soil moisture, about a ½ inch, and when it was done, it had about 80 hundredths, a little more than that. And that matches up really closely to what we actually caught in the rain bucket. So what that tells me is, okay, well, we got around 3/10 of an inch of rain, and around 3/10 of an inch of water got into the soil. So that's really cool to be able to check that. We're doing the calibration settings in the background and fine tuning those, and it's different for every single probe. But for this one, I'm going to look at this and say, okay, we got this really set well. But there'll be times where that might not match up either. It might be a bad calibration. So like I said, we're going through and adjusting those on the go all season long, because every probe's a little bit different and every installation is. And we don't expect our customers to go in here and try to figure out what the right calibration settings are. So we do it for you. So we make sure that you get good information about water that's in the soil. But what's really nice is in season, if you do get that really hard rain, say it rains an inch in 30 minutes, and you come to your graph and look at it a few hours later and say, okay, well, I got an inch of rain, but boy, when I move down the line here, it only shows a ½ inch gain in my soil. Well, that could possibly be because you had runoff that came really fast. And if this is on a field that has some slope, that's kind of eye-opening when you say, oh, I got an inch of rain, I don't have to water for a week. Well, that may be the case, but it may not be too, depending on how that water, if that water was able to actually get in the soil, that rain was able to get in the soil. So that's a cool kind of check in season after a big rain too, is just come in here and look at your rainfall total and then look at your soil profile and say, hey, did all that water get into the soil? So just one little tidbit I thought I'd share as I noticed this when I was looking at it the other day. You can also see the current readings in the chart below. Moisture set points, these are things you'll probably be adjusting later in the season, like when you're getting closer to irrigation time. I think we'll probably skip that, but that's the other thing that you'd want to be thinking about using later this season, kind of as a guide to how soon you want to be notified when the soil starts to get dry. We have the default set, and for 90% of fields, I feel like the defaults are pretty good, but you are able to adjust those so that when you are on the status page and you see your soil moisture, that droplet can change colors sooner or later, depending on what your threshold for or your tolerance for dryness is on a field. So if you've got a really good well, maybe say, oh, I'll let it get a little drier, and you can change those thresholds a little bit so that it stays green a little bit longer. It's blue now because the field is completely saturated. We've had a lot of rain over the last few weeks, so it's obviously pretty wet now, and that's why it's blue. So that was just a quick rundown of how to get started and how to help ServiTech Bridge give you the most information here early on in the season. And if you have any questions about getting logged in, you still can't get logged in, your password doesn't seem to work. If it doesn't, go ahead and try and reset it. But if you're still having some trouble, go ahead and contact support. We'll send that information out along with the email following up after this webinar. But the drill downs, all the information, all those tiles are going to get lit up given a little bit of time once you enter in growth stage, planting date, and crop. So those three things really kind of turn everything on. So if you have any questions or troubles with that too, same thing there. Just go ahead and reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to help you. The other things just to remember, I mean, things that you can use, hopefully that little demo of the soil moisture graph and something that you can learn from looking at your graph. I know the status page is nice. It just gives you that quick insights to what's happening, but the graphs are important too, and realizing how water's soaking in and things like that as far as managing your irrigation. But I mean, the big thing is that, I mean, everyone's super busy, especially in the summer. We just are hoping that ServiTech Bridge can help you manage your time instead of making that drive around every day to look at pivots and if they're on and see what's dry and that sort of thing, that you can just open up ServiTech Bridge in the morning and really give you an idea of priorities as far as what you need to tackle that day. So that's the goal of ServiTech Bridge. So as we get going here and start shifting out of maybe the just getting a stand and planting season and start doing some other management, especially around irrigation, but even looking at imagery. Once we get a little bit more biomass, we'll have a webinar that summarizes the imagery and the mapping page too as time goes on. That stuff is there now and available to you. It's just that at this time of year, you don't see a lot of reflection from the crop, obviously, because there's not much biomass out there. So as the season goes on, we'll start taking time to look at the imagery that's coming in from ServiTech Bridge as well, along with the sensors. So with that, I think I'm going to wrap up the webinar. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot us an email and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. I want to thank everyone for their time today. We'll be doing another, so watch for an announcement in the next week or two. We'll do another webinar as we get a little bit farther into the season and have some more insights as far as how to help, how to use ServiTech Bridge to the fullest. With that, I guess I'll let everyone go. Thanks for everyone's time today, and take care.